Thanks for tuning back in to watch the progress of my GTO restoration. Today we're going to cover the motor. Again, I hope that this can be sort of a how-to for if you are trying to do this yourself, and some of the things that I ran into and mistakes I made, things that I learned. Enjoy.
Okay, I've taken on the motor now, and I think you can probably see that I took this down to bare metal mostly. Almost all the paint is removed unless it was just really on there solid, and I figured if a paint stripper and a wire brush and a scraper couldn't get it off, it's probably pretty safe to paint over. But got the aluminum water pump here, nice and clean, and of course the sides, and the oil pan was a little rusty on this side, but just kind of pitted and pocked, but not rusted through, so it's just rough. I think it'll finish out nicely. After all, this is an old car. Anyway, I have just been using rust mort with gloves and eye protection and everything, and this is my third coat now. I probably didn't wait quite long enough between the first two coats, but this last one I let set up a little bit. Still a little tacky. I think you're supposed to let it dry, but I've used this stuff before, and it converts the rust to actually a different chemical compound. It's very porous.
And here's the process using ceramic duplicolor engine paint, primer and paint, and here's the final product. Very pretty.
Obviously I got the timing cover and the water pump off. There are bolts all the way around here, and then there are bolts in the bottom of the oil pan, 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, that go up into the bottom of that housing, or of the cover, I mean. And then I just used my impact driver to get this bolt out, which is right at the end of the main crankshaft here, and it came off without me having to, support it or anything. And then this guy, I've got that off with my impact driver too. It's a 3/4 inch, and this just rides on top of here, and it's oblong so that it goes whoop, bloop, bloop. That lope or whatever pushes the shaft of the or the whatever it is on the fuel pump, and so it boom, 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 like that, and it gives you the pumping action. Though I don't think it makes it nearly as good a sound as I just made. So anyway, I just took this out, and I want to show you how it is in case you forget. So once this is out, you got to line it back up with that little tab thing goes in that hole, and that's how it gets to be in the right place.
This view is for those of you who are going to change the cam in your engine, which is what this next clip is showing my good friend and I doing. I had to clean up all these parts just because I am obsessive.
There was a comp cam in this thing with high lift Johnson lifters, which was what I had to really search for to get for this new cam. Ironically, they were already in there. Hardly scuffed even, right?
Yeah.
And but we're putting new ones in, and this is a Crowler cam. Lubing everything up right now before we slide it in. And so we'll come back when we're sliding it in.
Just going to speed this up here so you can see us sliding the new cam in full of assembly lube. Just got to go real slow so you don't scratch anything, and this is what it looked like when we were done.
Okay, I'm about ready to put my manifold on. This is a Performer, Pontiac Performer, Edelbrock Performer, not an RPM. The RPM is just higher. They don't sell Performer air gap, which is this part's cut out. The reason for that, I believe, is because there's already a valley pan on the motor that provides for an air gap under here. So that's that. So this is painted up. I did try to do some gasket matching. Unfortunately, the Felpro gaskets, these guys, fit perfectly, well, almost perfectly. I was able to use a little permanent marker to shade the areas that I could hog out for some port matching. But in the directions it said do not use the Felpro Permatorque gaskets. Instead, they sent these that have a little bit metal in them, but mostly they're like a fabric of some kind or a composite material. I had to cut them down. They didn't look like this. You can see my little line here. I used the Felpro as a template and went just a little bit wider than the Felpro because you can see, well, they fit really poorly. So Edelbrock, I don't know what the deal is, man, but I have a feeling that they did that so that people that were going to do more porting would have some additional room to go. If you ported your cylinder heads, widened the intake runners, and then you widened the cylinder head runners and then the intake runners, then you'd have more gasket. But as it was, there's just a little bit of line there. So I hogged that out with a grinder. And these water jackets are way smaller than what the gaskets show, so I widened those a little bit. And anyway, then I didn't take very much off because as it is, the gaskets are still going to be out here, which is not ideal, but I don't think it's going to be the end of the world because these and the cylinder head openings are really close. So. But what I did want to show you is that I got in there with a long extension and a flap wheel after the die grinder and tried to shine up and polish the runners. It's not as fancy as some guys on YouTube are able to make it, but I was able to reach pretty far back there, and you can't feel it, but I can tell you that feels way smoother than this. You can even feel it or hear it. Apparently you need this to be rough because it helps with atomization of the gas and the air and the mixture of it, so it's a vapor. But then when it gets here and it's going to flow into the cylinder heads, you want it to really flow and not be sticking on anything. So the fact that these are smooth now should help that quite a bit. And so I'm about to put those stinky freaking gaskets on and then put this on the motor.
Really slow. You can watch those front mounts. I'll just watch, try to get this rear mount as close as I can.
Okay. I'm going to stop it here real quick. Just see. Whew, that's really close. Maybe just a coach back. Looking good?
Yeah.
How about that engine mount on your side?
It's looking at, actually, as we get closer, we can see if it looks dead on. It's going right. gonna go right over that.
Oh my goodness, that's like exactly in place. Now if everything else just goes exactly as planned. Here we go.
Yeah. There it is.
Ooh, see the suspension compressor
Sit
there?
down a little bit.
Yeah. Woo! Yeah, boy.
So this is the final product. It's pretty exciting at this point to get something done. Next time we'll start the body, so please like and subscribe. See you next time.